demonstration is to teach you how to shear your own sheep. Can you guys tell me how many of you are on a small farm? Any of you? Okay, 2. All right. So we have 6 sheep today that need shearing. Phil is going to be doing the demonstration and going through the step-by-step and showing you how to shear the first sheep. Amanda, whose farm we're on, the Hooves farm, she and her staff need to also learn how to shear the sheep. And those of you who have come, we hope that you can feel confident enough to give it a go as well. So this is not just going to be watching for those of you who have farms, and this is our opportunity to get a hands-on experience. And when we start getting some fleece, we'll have other demonstrations so that once you can just sort of move on to the next station. All right, I'm going to give it up to Phil.
Oh, hi everybody. Like Michelle said, we're both extension educators. I'm actually the southeast region, one of the 2 down there. So I'm from Gallia County, so basically the exact opposite of the state. I'm the last county before West Virginia, pretty much. Little of my background, I actually went to undergrad right down the road in Findlay, got an animal science degree, worked 2 years of my undergrad. Well, actually, I volunteered 2 years undergrad on their animal science teaching farm and worked 2 years as a herdsman / student worker. In my time there, the sheep herd down there is roughly 300 head. We sheared them twice a year, or we sheared half of them in the beginning of the year in the spring and half of them in the fall, just because of the volume and the amount of workers we had. We just couldn't get it all done at once. So normally the ones that were gonna lamb out would get sheared in the spring. So I wanna go ahead and precede this by, I'm by no means an expert, and if you go and talk to somebody, you're gonna get a different opinion on how to shear sheep. This is how I was trained to shear sheep. But everybody has a different rendition of everything, obviously. So my way is what I find is best for me. You all may find a different way that's best for you, but it's a good benchmark to start off of. There's 2 different ways you can shear sheep. You can shear them standing up on a stand. Normally that's how your show sheep are shorn. So you can do that. It's easier per se if you only have one person to shear, which you can do one person for both, but it's a little bit more difficult. I'm going to shear by flipping the sheep. Has anybody ever does anybody know what flipping a sheep is? Okay, so basically you're going to take them from standing on all fours up on their hindquarters, and you manipulate the sheep sitting in between your knees, and you use your knees to orientate their body. So that's how I shear. I've sheared both ways, but just personally I like flipping them a little bit better. So we'll also do a little bit of an intro and kind of a basics on flipping. So I guess we can get started. This is a good broad spectrum comb here. It's gonna do the job really well, but it's not gonna maybe do as well as your industrial grade clippers that you're gonna have to pay $300 and $400 for, maybe your gear driven ones. So, but for a small farmer, these would be perfect. So, best way to kind of just control a sheep is keep its nose up in the air. It's kind of run the mill with any livestock really. Cattle the same way, keep their nose up in the air. They can't bolt off from you. A couple different ways to flip. People will be trained to put your thumb in their jaw. So they have their front incisors, don't get your thumb up there, they will bite your thumb. It does hurt, and then you got a gap back to their molars. So there's a gap there. Kind of gives you the opportunity to get in there and you can control their bottom jaw. Kind of gives you a handle. So typical way to flip a sheep, you bend their head back to their shoulder, put pressure down on their hip, You kind of got to do it all in one smooth motion. And even sometimes you got to do a little bit of a foot drag. So now you can kind of easily control them, pin their head back, they're kind of immobilized. So you can just kind of control them here with my knees. So I don't know if these guys have ever been around shears before. So for me to talk with the clippers, it's going to be kind of loud. So typically, first swipe comes up the front leg, and then you work back down the front leg, down the side, into the flank. So once you clear that flank out, you'll come back up to this side of their brisket, and then work this side up to the brisket. So sheep will have wrinkles right here. Rule of thumb, never go with the wrinkles. This is very sharp. These combs, I've stuck them in my fingers before, so they're pretty sharp. If you go with wrinkles or with tendons and you get the wrong angle, it's going to cut right through them. So you make more of a diagonal stroke across. You also have to watch their teats here. So after you clear out their stomach, you go out their back leg, back up, underneath the teats, out this leg, and then up this side. So that will clear out their belly area. You'll have their brisket cleared out, and then you just work this back leg out as far as you can reach, up till about here, and then from there, once you get this cleared out, well, I'll just stop here in a minute. And also this loose skin that's in their armpits, you kind of have to do a sweeping motion with the clippers. Oh, quit. Yeah, you do more of a sweeping motion across like this so you don't cut that loose skin. Once you get this leg cleared out, normally take it. Oh, you're okay. You're okay. You're going to tuck it behind your leg. You're all right. This kind of gives you another element of control. So they can't kick you. So now you've kind of cleared that out, you can put their head behind your legs, just kind of squeeze their neck, just kind of immobilizes them. So you've worked these legs. Normally you don't go below the knee, and you clean all this up on your other strokes. And you work kind of in a rolling pattern, so you'll end up rolling her all the way over. So on these guys, or females, see they're got a lot of loose skin. So you notice right-handed clippers, vice versa if you're left-handed. I'm left-handed, but I was taught to shear right-handed. You're constantly using your other hand to tighten that skin out, so you just don't clip any of it. So then you'll use it to cover the teats up, come on, and then come between the legs. But you got to be careful because females got their vulva back there, and then also like in intact males, so they'll have a scrotum. Normally you don't shear the scrotum. It's just kind of a really sensitive area, and it bleeds really bad if you do nick them. So now once you've worked this leg, you'll work it up, and kind of from their flank back, you work back as far as you can reach. And then once you get past this flank, we'll stand her back up. We'll clean out this other leg, bring it up, clean her neck out. And then once her neck's cleaned out, we'll kind of roll her to her side. You're okay. So anyway, once you get this cleaned out, clear of the back, you begin what are called your long strokes, which will stretch clear from here all the way up. You go roller clear to the point to where you can get one stroke past their backbone. So I'll get to that point right now.
These are baby feet, so this is their
Okay, so now that you've gotten her neck stretched out to where you get all the wrinkles out, the rest of this will be worked with the side on your long blows. So on your long blows, you're going to work down, but you're going to bring your strokes all the way up, clear out and clean this face out. You just got to be careful going over the eye. And then normally once they're just sitting here, anytime you feel like it, you can get the top of their head. So like right now I could go. So now normally you'll still do head back behind your legs, this leg behind, and roll them to their side. If you want, you can grab one of the hind legs there, just below the knee. So then you're just gonna come up, work that back to the rear end a little bit more. And come up through here. Be conscious of the loose skin underneath your elbow. Kind of clean that up a little bit. Right now I'm just going to get up the back of her head. So now at this point, you bring them back up and just work this whole side. Clear down to her rear end. From here, all the way down, out that leg. And then we'll pull that back leg up and get right up underneath the rear end. So. Yeah. All right. So if you want, you can skirt her rear end. Just take from here up, watch her vulva.
You want me to go this way?
Yep. You have to keep the clippers at kind of a downward angle, kind of pointed into them a little bit. Okay. Yeah, then. So, if I was an expert that did 6,000 of those in a year, like some of the guys that I've worked with, it'd look better and it wouldn't have taken so long. But this is my first sheep I've sheared in about 6 months, so I'm a little out of practice one, and so I appreciate it. But if you want, when they're standing up, you can clean them up some and whatnot, but this right here will keep them cool enough. And right now, especially with it being a little bit cool at night, it'll still prevent you from having to put a blanket on them at night. But yeah, it's, as you notice, it's harder to clip like on their legs here and on their chest. They have a giant oil gland on their chest. You'll notice there's like a knot right there where their brisket would be. But that's why it's always darker colored right there on their chest, is there's a giant oil gland there and underneath all 4 legs. But for the first time being shorn, she did well. She did a lot better than I did. So.
You did good. That was very informative. Thank you.
You're welcome.